Step 1, mount the hole down. Step 2, take the wrenches from this position, move them to the inside of the wrench area to make up the space for the smaller end plug. And then the third step is moving these to the appropriate size, which are labeled M3, MZX. And these are here as stops, as back stops. So when you put the frame in, it always goes in the same position. And then this just comes on. Usually, after you put the mesh on, you'll swing this around before you start wrenching. Obviously, we have to have it out of the way. And just put it down and then just give it just a snug. It doesn't need to be cranked. You don't want to start compressing the aluminum square bar.
So when you insert the mesh panels come with writing at the bottom. You want to be able to read that writing. You want to make sure it's not upside down and backwards. You want to be able to read the writing. All of our mesh panels are also color coded. So there's a different color plastic strip that tells you what mesh count it is. This is a 40. So you guys are going to try this for your glitters. When you insert the mesh, you're always going to, it's going to be the front, it's going to seem like it's backwards because you put the front part in first. So it goes like this. And then it just snaps into the groove. Go from one side to the other side and then
You have T-handle ones, but I don't know if you want to take apart the back.
make sure it's snapped in all the way down the length of the roller.
Sorry.
Then once you get the frame, the mesh in the frame, you're going to put the wrenches on the rollers, 3 rollers that he put the addition onto. You just want to make sure that when that wrench goes on, that the mouth of it is not in that channel because it will round off those corners. So you just want to make sure you go all the way over that locking channel. And you want to make sure that the cables are down the center and that it's in the slot, because if it's not, it'll get caught up. So I don't know what he's got this set to, what mesh count, but this is 40 and this could go really high, so it'll be okay whatever we start out at. So normally what you'll do is you'll know for the different mesh counts where the settings on these gauges should be, and you can change it to those settings every time for the different mesh counts, and then you should be able just to put the mesh in with the settings in the right location, flip the switches and be very close to where you want to be. With our mesh, you can bring it up to high tensions right off the bat. You don't have to bring it up in stages like you used to with the older meshes. So after I have my wrenches on, I'm just going to turn this on. We're going to see where this takes us tension-wise. Oh my, that brought us up to about 52 newtons in that direction, and a lot lower in this direction. So what that tells me is that I need to turn, this direction is going to turn this roller and this roller if you're using a larger frame. This one is going to turn these two. So this is the direction I need to increase because it wasn't as high as the other way. And you want them to be within 2 newtons, 1 or 2 newtons of each other in both directions. So I'm going to drop this down to 40. This mesh will hold 40 easily. that direction. You see how these wrenches, they're bottomed out, so they can't turn anymore. So I can raise this all day long, but it's not going to turn the wrenches anymore. So what I need to do at that point, I'm going to back this gauge off a little bit because I've got it so high. Then I'm going to come around and tighten these bolts. I'm going to take the meter off. Don't ever set the meter down like this on a hard surface. You always want to lay it on its side. This meter is very sensitive. This is what actually feels and measures the tension. And these 2 feet are guides. These will they'll come loose if they drop the meter, and this will get askew. So always set the meter on its side or back in the case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten these bolts so I can get a better grip on this wrench. The mesh counts that you guys use, just because they're not going to have as much give. So then I'm going to flip this off because the bolts are tight down here. They're holding those rollers. And I'm just going to get a better grip with the roller. And I have to loosen my bolts again. So get those loose. I'm going to flip my Want to see an 80 Newton screen? Touch that. I feel like these. So I'm just going to back it back down. And it does go pretty quickly once it starts releasing air. Over 40. I get impatient, so don't do that. So it's not quite 40. I turned it down a little much. It's about 38. So I'm going to turn this, bring that back up. And just know when we do torque these bolts, it will raise the tension a couple of newtons. And 40. When you tighten the bolts, the final tightening, start at one roller, do the whole roller, go to the next roller, and around that. Take your meter off, put it on its side, release the tension. wrench is off, and you have a stretch screen.